This is Minda Wilson of Urgent Care. I'm excited to welcome Sharon Danitscheck of the Military Reunion Network. She is a fierce advocate for veterans, and I'm happy to say, a happy warrior on their behalf. So Sharon, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
2013 was a pivotal year for you.
Yes.
I mean, you left your career and you took on the Military Reunion Network. Tell us about that and what happened.
Well, my background is in hotel sales. I'd spent over 25 years in the hospitality industry, from convention centers to regional sales to national sales. You know, it's kind of a been there, done that, and people that are in the industry will definitely understand that comment. And when I was in national sales for Red Lion hotels, I was asked to take on what they call in our industry the SMERF market, and it stands for social, medical, educational, religious, and fraternal. It is not the blue little, characters. So part of taking on that role was participating with workshops that were put on by then founder Paul Spiewak and his business partner Charlene Adams, and they traveled the country, and the workshops were part a tour of the area that they were putting them on. It was part education and sharing with veterans how to plan their military reunions. And then the third part of it was meeting with representatives like myself that wanted to have, were seeking military reunion business. And when I started participating, it was 2 years of going to workshops. I think that there may be 10 or 15 workshops that I attended in full. We started having conversations, Paul and I, and Charlene as well. I was not questioning what they were saying, but I was wanting to learn more about why they were taking the tack of teaching the veterans the way that they were teaching them. And so we developed a very strong friendship. And through that friendship, we realized that our impressions and our views on the veteran community were very, very much the same. It is for Paul and I, and Charlene, it is veterans first. So fast forward to May of 2013, Charlene passed away, unfortunately, and Paul was not interested in kind of doing this without her. He's 88 at the time, and bless his heart, he'd been a champion for just about 25 years in working this with the workshops and the veterans. And so the more we talked, the more he said, I'm going to sell my company and you need to buy it because you're the person to take it over. And I said, okay. And I came home and I said the same thing to my husband, and he said, okay. And just haven't looked back.
Wow. So it was really a common passion and a love for the work that Paul and his wife were doing that sort of brought you to the point of taking it over.
Yeah.
But since you've taken it over, it's really, I don't want to use the word blossom, but it's really gone and it's gotten much bigger in its scope.
Yes. Yeah. When Paul had it, and was, working through, it was very, interactive, and they just did the workshops. And I think that in taking the helm, it was important to me to continue his legacy and the philosophies that we shared of the veterans first, but then also, bring it current. And bringing it current meant we actually got on social media, which he jokingly said to me was, we're not on social media. We're not on Facebook. It's a fad. It'll go away. And I'm like, well, it's not. So we got to get on board. And so we have established that in connecting to radioactive broadcasting and the military appreciation channel. I was encouraged to start a podcast, a radio cast, and have been doing that for 4 years now. And from the workshop side of things, really paying attention to what the veterans were talking about, what they were wanting to learn. We added on a conference that is, we will be in our 5th year of the educational summit. They really deserve and are hungry for more detailed conversation with industry experts about the specific elements of planning a military reunion. So, for example, hotel contracts, it's a foreign language to them. When you're in the hospitality industry, it really isn't, to people that are working in the industry, they live it every day. So I bring in a subject matter expert to talk about contracts, and they can ask that person questions. Event insurance is another session that they can learn more about. And these are all things to help them navigate the landmines, I guess.
So for those who don't know, tell a little bit of background about what the Military Reunion Network does. And then that'll put these benefits in context, I think, a little more.
So the network is, I call it a trade organization, or the mothership, or a community of people that are involved with military reunions in one way or another. So it could be someone from a tourism bureau that is seeking military reunion business. It could be a commander from the USS Ranger that, is sitting at home going, we got to get the boys back together. And they are, taking on the volunteer role to plan an event, a reunion to get everyone back together.
Right. And all of this is about connectedness, because they found the value of connectedness has a lot of positive impacts on veterans, keeping them connected with each other and with their military history. Right.
Right. So the connection, and this was kind of the evolution in the education for me personally. When I started attending the workshops in 2011, I was sitting with some veterans at lunch and said, why do you guys get together? I mean, what is it? It just, when you're new to the veteran community, it's like, what's the draw? And, it was a pretty simple question at that point, but it propelled me to learn more. And that connection, the bonds that the veteran community have, many of them have said to me, I am tighter, closer, and feel more in my own skin with someone I served with than I do with my spouse. Just because they had to lay it all out on the line for each other during their service. And it didn't matter if they were on the front lines or stateside. They were still in it together, experiencing the same things, whether it was basic training or just unique aspects of their time in service. And nobody else gets that but somebody else that served with them.
Right. And so your reunion network provides an opportunity for connectedness. And that's really critical, especially veterans that feel isolated and alone and are suffering from PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was one of the things I was sort of mentioning before. As I started researching more about veterans issues, I started reading, every September, the Veterans Administration, publishes their report on veteran suicide. And so in reading about that, I was shocked at the numbers. And the last report just came out last Friday, and so I haven't had a chance to kind of dissect it as much. But the statistics that were most troubling to me was not only the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide, but the high percentage of veterans that are 50 years and older. And it's 65% of those that commit suicide are 50 years and older. And that's the military reunion age. I mean, that's the age that they participate. And so the internal or the continued or more in-depth mission is to help them stay connected to reduce veteran suicide. And that's been the message for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's getting through.
What can veterans do if they're feeling this way? How do you facilitate them sort of coming together and coming out of their suicidal, the place they are at?
Well, the first thing is the Veterans Administration has some amazing programs. Certainly if you are just at that, if you're at the edge, calling the crisis hotline, calling the VA hotline. There are a couple of organizations out there that are doing phenomenal things with apps and software for phones. One of them is Operation Zero, which has an app that could connect you to another veteran where you live. There's no one answer to preventing it. There's no one trigger that sets it off. Those are the things that I've learned, over the past few years of being involved with this. So definitely reaching out, whether it's the VA crisis hotline, if you are a member of American Legion or VFW, just go sit and hang out and just talk. You just need to pull yourself and attempt that connection in whatever form that is. And I'm going to take this back to the reunion side, because the reunions keep people off of that path. And so for reunion planners, we want to help them find as many people that served with their unit, their ship, just whatever group that they're working with. We want to help them find as many people as possible, because once you get connected to a military reunion, you start getting information about it either on Facebook or in the mail or by email. It brings up a curiosity it's like, oh, I wonder what's going on, and maybe attend. 2 years ago at the podium of our educational summit, I talked about this is why the Military Reunion Network exists, is to reduce veteran suicide. And as we talked about it, and we talked about the connection, and we talked about the importance of veterans staying connected, that was in a room of 100 people. And I had 3 veterans come up to me and say, "Thank you for saying what you just said. I was almost one of those statistics."
Wow.
And, I had veterans share with me, there was, a Air Force reunion planner shared that there was a veteran that attended the reunion for the first time. And he was kind of, guarded in his behaviors and his body language. And by the end, he was open and chatting and engaged with the people that attended. And he's now part of the reunion planning committee.
Wow.
So it's been really an exciting journey. Once I've started talking about it, the reunion planners are getting it, and they're kind of focusing their attentions on the inclusion and the connection outside of just maybe a core group.
So if you're a family member and you see that your loved one who is a veteran is feeling depressed or is not themselves, is there a way that they can maybe connect them up with your organization? And if so, how can they help? What can they do?
Yeah, our website is militaryreunionnetwork.com. I have over 200 reunions that are taking place. And I will tell you that if someone goes to my website and they see that there's a reunion coming up in their hometown or near them, and they want to encourage their family member that is a veteran to attend it, even if they're from a different branch, they will be welcome. They would it's like, come on. And that's one of the things that I have loved about the veteran community. They're very inclusive, and regardless of branch. So they can connect via our website and to the actual reunions and the reunion planners. They can certainly send an email to me. As far as if there's a family member that is seeing someone that has served and is not behaving quite right, have a conversation with them, pulse a veteran from their community in just to go have a beer with that person, just to get them talking about and maybe release some of that frustration. Minda, just a very quick story. When I started asking the questions about, why people meet, I had a veteran that came up to me and exactly the situation you're talking about. His daughter, his son-in-law served and came home from, I think it was Afghanistan, and was not quite right. It was just, he was off. She knew he would be different because of his experiences, but he was just off. He was isolating himself, all of the basic characteristics of someone that is headed down the wrong path. And so she called her dad and said, please have a beer with me, and have a beer with my husband. And so the father and son-in-law went out for a beer, and they shared stories between the two of them that neither had shared with anybody else. And it was a freeing moment for both of them, a healing moment for both of them, and a very supportive moment for both of them, and conversation. And it did, his daughter did see a difference in her husband after that conversation. It was just, he was a little bit more settled, not so anxious and not so withdrawn.
Right, because they understand there's somebody out there who has had an experience not exactly like theirs, but emotionally similar to theirs.
Yeah. And the military, it's tough, the warfighter community, they're told to buck up and tough it out. And, if you say something, there's a stigma of potentially being weak, and it's, the conversation needs to change, with regard to suicidal ideation, to say, you are very brave for speaking up, and it's exactly what a warfighter needs to do, versus keeping it all inside, because they are not the first people to they're not the only ones to feel the way that they're feeling.
Right. I understand that you recently went to the VAD Suicide Conference. And what were some of your takeaways from that conference? Some interesting things you learned?
It was very interesting to me. I was invited to go as an exhibitor to the event. There were close to, if not just over, 2,000 people there. It was amazing to me to see so much dedication focused on this issue. It makes you understand how significant an issue it is. There were a lot of conversations with the chaplain community that they have been the therapists before there were therapists. I mean, chaplains have been around forever, and so utilizing their role is, I think, coming to the forefront a bit more. It was also very, very interesting to have conversations about military reunions on the general session stage. I mean, the conference was set up that there were speakers in the general session stage, but then there were also quite a number of breakout sessions. This conference was 3 days, and so there were quite a number of breakout session options for people to talk, to go in and listen to. Military reunions took place on the general session stage. And I was so happy that we're finally talking about connection being a part of the solution on that platform. And I was kind of chuckling to myself because, my company's been around since 1991. So I'm like, well, welcome to the party, guys. I'm glad you're finally here. I mean, it's something we've known for a very, very long time. And we've been doing this for a really, really long time. So it was a huge takeaway to me to have those conversations take place.
For those who may be infirmed or aren't able to attend a military reunion, what were some of the other thoughts they had for those veterans?
I think that the conversations about veterans that were infirmed, I think the focus was on the community rallying support with them and reaching out to them versus that infirmed veteran having to do the work to get connected. So there's been with the VA, there's a very, very strong community initiative that it's not just the VA and the military. It is nonprofits in the community. It is the veteran services organizations in the community. I mean, we're all kind of needing to come together and tackle this together. So, I didn't have, Minda, a lot of conversation with that specific situation. So the limited conversations that did take place, it was just the encouragement of the community to not forget and just to make sure that they are included with any and all connections possible.
And through your military reunion network, if people need additional resources, are you able to connect them?
Yes. After coming back from the conference, we're updating our website to include a tab with suicide prevention resources, and a lot of the Veterans Administration links will be there. There will also be links to some of the partners that I've met and have started working with to kind of just help people connect and get the support that they need.
If they're interested in maybe making a reunion or putting a network together that may not be a physical reunion, but a way of connecting up with other people, can they do it through your organization?
You mean just can they do a group FaceTime or a group Facebook page or something like that? Yeah, of course. Of course. We get calls quite a bit on wanting to get connected, and there's Facebook has been around for a bit, but it's new to some people, and so we talk about best practices on our radio cast. Crystal Washington is our resource for social media and for Facebook, and she's one of the people that has come to the summit every year to help people learn about how to utilize it. It's interesting when you're talking about the connection through social media. I would encourage people to not use that as a connection exclusively. There is just something to be said for getting together and breaking bread, having a beer, having coffee, whatever you want to call it. There's just something about that human interaction that is more supportive than anything Facebook could ever provide. So utilizing the connection on social media is a phenomenal start, but we just encourage people to evolve and to take the next step to actually get together physically.
So I think that what you're saying, though, that's really critical to all this is that the key in getting people better is to get them connected and get them engaged with other people.
That's right. And it's not only when you were talking about spouses, it's not only for the veteran, it's for their spouse, for their family, because what happens at a military reunion, the veterans are talking, they are there together for 4 days. So conversations start organically on the bus or sitting in the hospitality space, and spouses will start conversations with other spouses, and they'll say, gosh, it was interesting last summer, something happened and I didn't understand it, but just something's a little bit different, and they will create their own support network through the military reunions as well. So it's not only for the veteran community.
One more time, if people want to reach out to you or your website to learn more about engaging with other veterans and connecting to them, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, they, visit the website. It's militaryreunionnetwork.com. I'm available by email, and it's Sharon, SHARON, at militaryreunionnetwork.com, or they can give me a call, and the phone number is 425-501-1430. We are on Facebook, the Military Reunion Facebook page. It's just a regular page where we're posting quite frequently. And so that's checked on a regular basis as well. So if they wanted to send a message.
And if someone has a member of their family that they're concerned about, they can also find resources through your website, through Facebook, or by contacting you that could help support that family member.
Absolutely. And I would again encourage them to, if there is significant concern, reach out to the Veterans Administration in their local area, reach out to, one of the suicide prevention organizations, as close to them, because this is a very serious issue, and getting the support that they need specific to that issue is, they are more quickly served in directly contacting them. I mean, I'm happy to have them contact me, but I would reroute them to those organizations that really are trained in that specific arena.
Well, Sharon, it's been a great pleasure having you. I hope to talk to you again. This is Minda Wilson from Urgent Care.